Alright, hello everybody and welcome to part 3 of the Turing test.
This is the crew's quarters. It looks abandoned.
Good observation. Okay, so we are getting somewhere. So that was a really good place to stop, actually. I had no idea. So, let's go see if we can check out some people's places. Read the sticky note. Look at that doggy. Oh, he's one of those guys, huh? Okay, so dear Tom, knowing that you're always watching, I thought I would write you a letter, as you no longer reside in my mind. I've decided to transfer my thoughts to text. I want to do so in the form of a history lesson, a lesson that perhaps you'll find condescending, but it's likely more for my sake than yours. Alan Turing is considered a father of theoretical computer science and artificial intelligence. Perhaps a lesser-known part of his life was his contributions to the fields of biology. Why do you suppose his interest lay in those two disparate, why don't you just say separate fields? Disparate fields? I assume it was because he believed the world to be logical and understandable. He was a mathematician. He seemed to believe that the great complexity of the universe could be explained with simple results. 2 years before his suicide in 1952, Alan Turing developed something called reaction diffusion systems. Inside the academic world, this work was cited more than his work on computers. It can be generally formalized as a one-line equation. And there it is. I'm not even going to pretend like I know what that is. I'm no mathematician, neither am I. However, in plain English, this equation describes things that wish to diffuse, however, also react with each other during this process. I feel a metaphor coming along. I am sure this sounds strange to you, or at least very tangential to our lives here in Europa. What relevance does it have to anything here? Reaction diffusion systems show how patterns are created. They show how the leopard got its spots and how the zebra got its stripes. But my real interest here is Turing's interests. That nature can be formalized. My real interest here is Turing's interest that nature can be formalized. That we can understand the natural world in mathematical terms. That we can understand Turing created the test to answer the question, can a machine impersonate a human? The intrigue behind that being, can the human mind be stimulated by a machine? Can the human mind be simulated by a machine? Why ask that question? To provide the human mind is a machine. To prove, that the human mind is a machine. I am not sure that is Turing's opinion, however. Concerning consciousness, he states this. According to the most extreme form of this view, the only way by which one could be sure that a machine thinks is to be the machine and to feel oneself thinking. One could then describe these feelings to the world, but of course no one would be justified in taking any notice. Likewise, according to this view, the only way to know that a man thinks is to be that particular man. Very true. I know all about that, guys, trust me. If the human mind exists within the physical world, it obeys the same rules in physics and chemistry as every other thing in the world. Therefore, like all of nature, it is merely reactive. It is curious that nature would create, through the mechanics of determinism, creatures that believe they have free will. Conversely, I suppose if we conclude that we are all machines, we only came to this conclusion in a predetermined manner. We cannot claim credit for our discovery, as it is just a product of nature's genius, not our own. A humble idea, I think, behavioralism. Maybe we are more similar than we think. Sarah. Okay. Well said. And long-winded. And you never really got to the point, but okay. Well said. Telomeres, those decide how, so the length of those is correlated to your age. But conversely, so that when they get smaller, you are older. And the longer you are younger. That's biological age. I learned that from Joe Rogan. He talks about telomeres all the time and heat shock proteins and telomeres. I don't take any credit for that. Okay, and look at those pencils. And how sad. Me and Dan, the twins. One of them's dead. Probably both of them. But definitely one of them. I think Chris, right? So this is Chris. This is the guy that died, I believe. Yep, Chris McKellen. No, Chris McLean. His bed is all messy. He also had a sister. I wonder if I'm the sister. Nah, those are that's Canadians for you, you know? What can I say? I don't know what that is. I'm gonna assume it's like depression or something. This is an indie game. It has something to do with depression, right? It's gotta have something to do with depression. And aliens, mind you, remember. Aw, look at these people. Look at that stock photo of those people. Those stock people. They like their coffee. That's what I'm talking about. Oh! That's dope. I've been playing Deus Ex, so I'm like definitely looking out for vents. I'm trying to see if I can get in that one, and I cannot. Okay. Please don't have another giant thing for me to read. Hi, Matthew. I've been studying organism 119. Please find attached scanning electron microscope image which appears to show pilus formation. We hypothesize that this is the stress response due to high levels of radiation. We plan to infect a human cell line with organism 119 and perform irradiation experiments with flow cytometry. Whatever. We would this be appropriate? Well, I hope you would know before you started doing that. It would be great if you could get the department to look at the SEM image. Okay, I've looked at it, and I gotta tell you, not a lot going on. Hey, Soshi, it was great to see this image. Wow, yet more complex life on Europa. Whatever that thing is might be worth looking at as it survives very high levels of radiation here on Earth. Similarly, you should consider looking at this other thing. This other thing produces pill in response to radiation and uses them to transfer DNA. Perhaps your organism uses a similar mechanism. However you consider that organism 119 is transforming or scavenging DNA as a method of surviving radiation. Have you considered? As you well know, in terms of radiation, Europa receives 5.4 SV per day, over 3,000 times the level on Earth. The organism must have evolved in such at a high resistance to radiation as a necessity of survival. That said, the radiation beneath Theramecular is much lower due to thick ice crust. Radiation experiments. The flow of cytometry sounds like an appropriate course of action. That's what I thought too. Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to read all that right now. Oh, I know it's a story game, and they were just telling the story through that text, but I only got so much patience for these things. We'll read this one a little bit. So what is it you found then? So Chris, we found an wonderful thing, an organism that can live in extreme conditions, that survives massive doses of radiation. Radiation damages DNA. The extremophile has a virus living inside it. The extremophile scavenges DNA from other organisms which the virus uses to repair the extremophile's damaged DNA. Extremophile. I hope I'm saying that right. Essentially, they work together to survive in what's called a symbiotic relationship. So, what's the implication? What does it do? Jerk. In some ways, it is an immortal relationship. It doesn't seem to age biologically. Aging and death are ultimately caused by DNA damage from the telomeres. We have the ability to fix our DNA, but that ability is limited. This organism can repair damage caused by massive doses of radiation. If we could harness its power, we could potentially eliminate biological aging, what is known as living forever. So you found something that can make humans immortal. Not exactly. There are many causes of death other than DNA damage. It will not save you from trauma, from brain damage, cardiac arrest, etc., but it could potentially cure cancers and many genetic diseases and massively increase life expectancy. Okay, fine. Well, then do it. That's what he said, probably. A nice viola. And what are these? Motion sickness relief. And you also have these pills. Maybe we all need those pills for some reason. Okay. I think we've seen enough here. That doctor is very good at her job. I'll tell you that much. And Chris is sort of a dick. This person is artistic. March 6th. The whole team experienced nausea during a large electrical surge in Europa's atmosphere. I am concerned this was not an instance of mass hysteria. Vital signs were affected. It caused a uniform surge in heart rate that was detected in all members of the crew. I am reporting to ISA. The next day, the 7th, I reported the nauseous incident to the ISA. They offered an explanation of electrical disturbance to our central nervous systems. That is ludicrous. An electrical surge large enough to affect our nervous systems would have done more than make the team feel ill. I'm going to experiment with some shock therapy. Oh yeah, that's always a good idea. I have discovered that electronic fields disturb our telemetry implants in a way I didn't expect. I have contacted the ISA. Strangely, Tom was not comfortable with my attempts to disturb the implant. Tom? The ISA have reported back informing me that I am not to disturb the implants, okay? They have also encouraged me not to discuss this further with the team. And then something in Russian. I am continuing to investigate. I've been running some experiments. Good, this guy doesn't care. Outside of Tom's view, I can tell he knows this. He has been acting differently around me, like an offended child. I feel increasingly nauseous. These implants seem to have neural connectivity. Out-of-body experiences are more frequent now. More frequent? You already have them, huh? So, I have established a definite correlation. Against my knowledge, I have been implanted with a device that affects my mind. I used my opportunities in regular health checkups to investigate the crew. We all have them. Let me read that again. I've established a definite correlation against my knowledge of implant device that affects my mind. And everyone else has them. Every single one of us is implanted with some mind-altering contraption. Tom has been encouraging the team to worry about my mental health. He requests that I retire away from the crew. Misinformation, another Russian word. I cannot will myself to investigate this further. I grow tired quickly. I cannot think straight. I am not sure if the implant is affecting my thoughts anymore. I believe it is trying to subdue my mind. I think I'm going to attempt an excision. I'm going to remove this implant. Oh, that's dangerous. So, and then like a week and a half later, April 4th, I'm typing with my left hand now. The excision went wrong. I have successfully removed the implant. Unfortunately, I lost my hand in the operation. What? Tom is very angry. The crew refused to talk to me. Apparently, I am a bad influence. Sarah patched me up. This guy's cool. Who is this person? The Russian. I wonder if the nature of the organism and its disturbance of my DNA caused my awakening from Tom's influence. If so, that would make for a worrisome a worrisome revelation. Perhaps this organism is not so friendly. Dan informed me ISA have called for my termination. Oh, dear. This is April 6th. My masochistic experiment proves I am danger to the mission. Fortunately, he chose not to lock me in the brig. I'm going to investigate this implant further. I have to hide my work. Boy. The team are becoming increasingly aggressive. They seem to oppose my work to understand the implant. It does not help that Tom is encouraging them to distrust me. Man, Tom is setting everyone against you. You also seem a little bit like a, what do you say, conspiracy theorist. I have discovered the nature of the implant. It is a complex computer. It interfaces with the human mind directly. Oh, Elon Musk was just talking about that. It seems to condition the mind through Pavlovian and instrumental conditioning, eliciting feelings of euphoria when the wearer is obedient and dysphoria when they are disobedient. Gross. It also has the effect of suppressing impulses in the frontal lobe, presumably to lower free will. It seems to interface crudely with motor neuron cells through the cerebellum, cerebellum. Oh my goodness, I'm such a moron. It is my hypothesis that the crew is controlled by this implant. That is their strong aversion to helping me. I need a method of suppressing its impact. Perhaps a drug. Riluzole. Maybe an antidepressant. See, it was an antidepressant. I knew it. Maybe an antidepressant to minimize the conditioning effects. Combined with a strong electromagnetic field, I could use one of the industrial electromagnets from the construction robots. I have managed to get Chris on my side. He has agreed to test some medical procedures with me in private. It will be more difficult one-handed, but I must persevere. I'm hoping to keep this out of the eyes of Tom, though I have a feeling he will still be listening. Dude, some shit went down, and Tom knows all about it. He's not telling no one. And this is him patching himself up after he lost his hand. That's crazy. How do you open up your thermos after that? What's up with all these drugs, too? This guy's... well, he is an artist. Oh, there's his art. Hey! He's not bad. I mean, it's definitely from a stock photo, but hey. I can't draw stock photos. That was really informational, and that took 15 minutes. Goodness, that took a while. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that first half of this episode, which was reading time with Brian. So we learned a lot there, actually. So that dude, the Russian guy, like went crazy, and he might have been right. He got Chris on his side, and then Chris died, and Tom didn't want anyone to do nothing, and they were presumably being controlled by their implants, though that is also something that crazy people probably say. I can see a crazy person saying that when it's not true, and very much believing it and cutting off his own hand, which is crazy. But something tells me he's not crazy, because the robot was against him. And like, even if you're wrong, like, the robots don't act all passive aggressive towards you, which it sounded like the robot was doing, which means he was trying to dissuade him. Look at me using big words. Dissuade. It's like opposite of persuade.
These people should not have been sent here. It's not safe.
Manned space travel is not safe. Since mankind first entered space, the debate has raged over the value of manned space travel. There is a large contingent of the ISA that believes all tasks that need to be performed on Europa could be performed by machines. It is obviously less risky to send machines rather than humans into space.
I thought I had that one. Like, I thought I was just like back in the saddle. Wasn't even gonna be hard. But I am wrong. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Wait a second. Ah, switch on the floor. Did not even see that. So I got a feeling that we're gonna have to do this. That's my feeling. Yeah.
We sent drones to Earth's moon. Scientists can remotely operate drones. If we did it there, why not here too?
Teleoperation became possible on the moon when the communication latency was reduced to 1.4 seconds. The distance between the Earth and Earth's moon is approximately 1.3 light seconds. This enables near real-time control of drones by scientists. The story is different with Europa, as the distance between Earth and Jupiter oscillates between approximately 32 and 53 light minutes. It takes a very long time for Earth to communicate with Europa. Due to that distance, teleoperation will never be possible on Europa.
Okay, but why not control drones from the satellite?
Why not indeed? My systems can be teleoperated from Europa's satellite. That is when the communication lines are open. However, the advantages of human field workers apparently outweigh the risks.
Alright, so can't do it because it's too far away and the lag is worse than a Fortnite on dial-up. I have no idea what we're doing here. Oh, yes, there was that thing. Oh yeah, I remember they introduced like that time restrictive thing last time. I wonder if we're gonna have to do any more of that. I hope not. I don't like the time ones.
Why can't you solve these tests, Tom?
I am not permitted to think laterally. Parts of my systems are permitted to use evolutionary algorithms. This simulates what is called creativity. However, evolutionary algorithms can converge on inefficient and ethically suboptimal solutions. Since this is the case, I am only permitted to take actions in response to a set of constraints.
What do you mean by morally suboptimal?
Solutions to problems that transgress ethical boundaries.
Dude's talking about how he's like allowed to kill or not allowed to kill. I don't know. Dang it, I got confused. Okay, what are we doing here? We're doing that one. And then what I want to do is take the cube with me and have this one go in there. Actually, I don't even know that that's what I want. Let's see. I might not need that. Why do I think that? I just know already that I know what I need. I need that cube up here because I left that behind, and that's is not going to be acceptable. Oh, but I also left. Dang it! I already know this one. Trust me. I already know. Oops. That's what we want. I actually don't even know why I want that. That might not even be the real thing to do. I just assumed I need to take the cube, so I need to figure out a way to take the cube, but I may not even need that cube. Oh wait, I do need it because I would have to leave it there and like, and then I would have less of it. And now I don't have to leave it. I can use it right here, and then use these, and then they both need to be those. So then I can do this. That's what I'm talking about, dude. That's what I'm talking about.
Why does a lack of creativity stop you solving these tests?
Well, I contend that problem solving is creativity. These human interaction tests are exercising your creative mind.
I don't see how problem solving is creative.
Think back to the beginning of these tests, to the first puzzle you solved. It required you to throw a box through a window. Do you remember?
Yeah, I think so.
I simply had never thought to throw a box through a window. That is creativity, thinking outside of the box.
You never thought to throw a box through a window? Come on, man. Everyone thinks about throwing boxes through windows. I don't know if I trust you.
Can a computer ever be creative?
They can. But a computer's method of creativity is to try everything until something works. Think of nature. People consider nature creative. The process of evolution by natural selection. It perhaps started with one organism. From there, it essentially tried to create every organism it could. Those organisms that did not survive perished. So, nature's creative force is to try every conceivable idea. Those ideas that work survive.
Okay, so why aren't you permitted to emulate that process?
Because the solutions that a biological process creates are not always good solutions. As we see, nature is morally ambivalent. It will happily create morally suboptimal ideas to fulfill its creative mandate. We see this in parasitic worms, viruses, and pathogens.
And this game is maybe talking about some philosophical stuff, I'll tell you what.
If you weren't restricted, do you think you could be creative?
As creative as a human? Certainly. You believe yourself to be a creative? But in mathematical terms, creativity is merely constrained chaos.
What do you mean?
I have discerned that creativity is divergent thinking, creating an organic solution to a problem. In the human mind, divergent thoughts are created and then curated by the frontal lobe. I can create divergent thoughts and moderate them. So, I am creative.
Organic solutions?
Organic, in that it is developed through a biological process, whether that is the process of evolution or a computed process.
I don't know what to do with this. I feel like these rooms are like not solvable, but then it's like also maybe they are, but they're just like really hard. Okay. Well, that's annoying. Huh. I wonder. Okay, well, it's been 30 minutes of the Turing test. We're about to go into the purple world. That's going to be fun. Purple room. So that was a lot of reading and some more test solving. So yeah, the gameplay, got into that. Wasn't audio tracks, found footage stuff. It was just reading. So good old classic reading. Yeah, not bad. There was a lot to read, but it was cool. I felt like I discovered some stuff. So yeah, cool. Not bad. This game's changing it up. I like it. Having a good time. So join me for the next one, and I'll see you guys later.